The most important signs in Italy, I think, is the swearing sign. I think that's really what people say. They talk a lot with the hands. Obviously, you know, this is a very famous one. And but cornuto, it means that your wife is making off with someone else. And that is used a lot in driver language. You know, when you pass by and someone cuts you off and you say cornuto, vaffanculo, or Madonna. Every single region in Italy has different signs. The same word for vaffanculo that could be like this, actually in Sicily is like this, or in Piedmont, you know, we don't want to do that, do we?
I know I don't look like a typical inventor, but nevertheless, I invented these. Snowrunner are snow skates. They're fast, fun, frenzied and fully charged. The idea of a snowrunner came to me as a child in Switzerland, when I find the soles of my shoes to slide down the hills on the way to school.
There's a man called Louis Golden Gun. He's got it all to turn a woman on. And when he smiles at my face, then I'll be lost without a trace. And pray to God that he'll come back. And late at night, Lou starts to walk the streets for fun. Right by his hand, the golden gun. Louis, you better run.
Yeah, sure, I'm Swiss. But contrary to popular belief, the Swiss didn't invent the cuckoo clock. It was the Germans, and I'm pretty happy about that. How's life been for you since the wall came down?
Oh, not so bad.
Huh?
Not so bad, but I escaped to the west in 1973.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
It was easy, just after the agreement in 1972, just got into the boot of a car going to West Germany.
How come you've got an Irish accent?
I worked in the Irish pub for 18 years.
If you live now in a small country or in a small town in East Germany, in former East Germany, it's harder than you live in West Berlin. You have not so many people on the same wavelength, or how can I say, with the same political ideas, or I'm sure you heard about the new fascist movement in East Germany.
I really don't like it because of the neo-Nazis. I'm Jewish, and I would say it goes up again.
It's good because the peoples in the eastern now are free, you know. They can travel where they want. But on the other side, I think it's not so good because many of skinheads and fascists from the east come to here. And I think too much Nazis now, you know.
It might be a little bit difficult for the East Berliners right now, but they're kind of impatient. Is it called impatient? Right now, you know, they want everything last year already, and that's not possible.
20 people want the wall back, though.
Why?
Well, 2 meters higher. Well, the people in the west are, unlike the people from the east, they're blaming them for causing queues in the supermarkets and traffic in the roads. And people in the east, unlike the people in the west, are too snobbish.
Do you know any East Berliners?
Yeah.
You have some friends from there?
Yeah, we are fighting in East Berlin against the police.
Tell me about the politics here.
Shit.
Why?
Shit. Same like Thatcher.
Yeah?
Thatcher is finished, yeah?
Yeah.
Coal is not finished.
You wish he was?
I want anarchy.
More and more I feel like a European. Because I spent so much time in America, I like the idea of being a European. It's very appealing to me. I also think compared with America, Europe is a much more interesting place. America tends to be fairly homogeneous. All the cities are virtually the same. The culture is virtually amorphous. Everywhere you go is the same food. In Europe, the opposite is true. Every little country has its own vibe, it has its own history, its own culture, and I'm very proud of it. And as a traveler, it's much more interesting that way. You know, it's a different language every night. It's a different bit of architecture to look at, different set of values. I like that. I think the French say "Vive la différence," and so do I. Probably because they've never had to have problems about feeding themselves. You know, it's been a very rich agricultural community since the year dot, and so they've had the leisure to create a beautiful culture, and it starts with food, and it goes through art and music and literature and architecture too. When they've had their down moments, you know. I mean, Paris is beautiful largely because they knocked it down and they threw all the people out and it started again. That apart, it is a very beautiful city. I think the English have a great affinity for Italy and the Italians because they're almost diametrically opposed to us in everything, you know. It's warm, the food's really good. I think there's a long line of Englishmen who fall in love with Italy, and I say I'm one of them. You know, I find I do much better in the sort of Latin countries, Spain, France, Italy, Germany actually to a certain extent. But as you go north, as you get towards Sweden, Finland, it's less of a warm response, and I think just think that's a cultural thing. People are less spontaneous. That's not a criticism, they just are. They're less willing to go along with it and be lively. But that's just a historical thing, you know. I also feel Latin countries have an intrinsic understanding of rhythm and a communal aspect of music more than the northern peoples, you know, of which I'm one, absolutely. But I like playing in Italy, Spain, France. I think it's just a matter of experiencing Europe, being here, living here. You can't appreciate something until you actually live it. And so I think more of us need to come to Europe and deal with it on a proper level, you know, not as tourists, but as citizens.
So che gli italiani non vanno molto d'accordo con i francesi, per esempio, e i francesi altrettanto. Però ho una mente talmente aperta al contatto umano che non mi interessa. Cioè, se quello è francese e io sono italiano, per me è una persona normale. Perciò non faccio distinzioni.
It's very important that for English people didn't forget that they're supposed to be curious about the world, because that's what they were 1 century ago when they were colonial all the world. And they were really curious about that. I think they lost a little bit their curiosity. They must find it again. Not only about music, about all kind of stuff. You're living in an island, that's right, but don't forget that you're not alone.
We sent our reporter to meet a famous Englishman who's married to a European lady. They're a bona fide Euro duo, but can you guess who he is?
Well, I met Pat when he was in Norway doing gigs, when he used to work for Sky, and I met him in a disco. Well, I don't think it's very much difference between an Englishman and a Norwegian man.